How did we get to a point where two former athletes known for their raw power and incredible rookie years with their respective companies managed to bring the fans to the edge of their seats as they embark on a collision course for the final battle between WCW and WWE? So today we will dive into the epic rivalry between Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, the feud that redefined what it means to be a true powerhouse in wrestling, and look back at how 3 matches across 2 decades lasting only 19 minutes delivered on so many levels. And to do that, we need to look back at where it all began for these two former athletes. So before Bill Goldberg became a professional wrestler, he had an initial run in the NFL where he played for the Los Angeles Rams and the Atlanta Falcons. However, due to an accident, his career was cut short when he tore his lower abdomen. And this forced Goldberg to reconsider what he wanted to do in life, and considering football was always his passion, making the next decision would prove to be both vital and difficult for him.
I was a pro football player. I wasn't a wrestling fan. I didn't grow up aspiring to be a professional wrestler. I think the way that I expressed myself as a professional wrestler is just an alternative form of the way that my idols express themselves as professional football players.
However, while it's been documented that initially he wanted to pursue a career in MMA, Goldberg was convinced to give pro wrestling a go by Lex Luger and Sting while training in a gym in the Atlanta area. He was originally signed to a 1-year deal with WCW and trained under Dwayne Bruce, and quickly caught the attention of wrestling bookers with his intense athleticism and raw power, as it set him apart. But in addition to this, considering that football was always his passion, it seems to be the cornerstone in the development of the Goldberg character. And whilst in developmental, this is where he came up with his 2 most iconic moves, the spear and the jackhammer. And what came after was pure magic. In 1997, the wrestling world was about to witness the arrival of the legend as Bill Goldberg made his debut in WCW, and the impact was immediate with him. So in his debut match, Goldberg faced against Hugh Morris, and the anticipation was modest at first, but within a few minutes, Goldberg showcased his power with a devastating victory. The crowd cheered, sensing that they were witnessing the birth of a megastar, and none other than Eric Bischoff also realized the gem that they had on their hands.
Bill came out, breathing fire, spitting smoke, and the crowd just went, whoa, what is this? And we were all sitting backstage going, whoa, look at them react.
And he moves all the time to the
Bill was now going to be on a very accelerated flight path.
What followed was a string of dominant performances, each victory adding a layer to the now infamous undefeated streak. But it just wasn't about winning, it was how he won. Quickly and powerfully with an unmatched intensity, left a mark in the minds of the fans. And with each triumphant moment, Goldberg's legend grew. But little did we know that this was just the beginning of a journey that would forever change the landscape of wrestling. And here's none other than Paul Heyman summing it up best.
Goldberg was a down and dirty and very easy to figure out persona. Spear, jackhammer, pin, audience reaction. Who's next? You're next. That's it.
However, on the other side of the wrestling world, an athlete that could actually match Goldberg's force was also being created. Before he became the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar's journey began in Webster, South Dakota, where he quickly found out that he was made for pro wrestling. In his early years, he was granted a full wrestling scholarship for his junior and senior years in the University of Minnesota. This is where he racked up several accolades during his amateur wrestling days, including the 2000 NCAA Heavyweight Championship. But in the year of 2002, Brock was signed with WWE and was sent to the company's developmental territory at the time, OVW. But it didn't take Lesnar long to make an impression while in developmental. However, with the physique that he had, WWE knew that he ticked all the boxes when coming to the main roster. And shockingly, it seemed like Lesnar and Goldberg himself knew this, as they explained how his appearance would be perceived by the wrestling world.
I was a white guy that looked like he was chiseled out of, concrete.
He's a genetic freak. If God was to sit there and build a warrior, I think it would come out to be Brock Lesnar.
500-pound super.
And moving forward, after wrestling a few dark matches, Brock Lesnar made an explosive debut in WWE, and it didn't take long for him to make an impact. In his early matches, he showcased a level of dominance rarely seen before in WWE. With Paul Heyman by his side, Brock Lesnar manhandled wrestlers like Al Snow, Maven, Spike Dudley, and even the Hardy Boys. And quickly labeled the next big thing, it was clear that WWE was going to go all in on him. After all, Brock was a rare talent. And within 6 months of his debut, he defeated one of the top stars in WWE, that being The Rock, at SummerSlam to become the new WWE champion. This would arguably make him the face of the company, and it showed, as he was the front cover of the video game Here Comes the Pain, and that game was only released 8 months after his debut. But the story gets even greater. With such an impressive background in wrestling, I have to mention this rare scenario that it was actually WWE that came looking for Lesnar to sign for the company.
As the NCAA champion, Brock Lesnar did not seek out WWE. WWE recruited Brock Lesnar, and within 6 months of his debut, Brock Lesnar smashed the biggest box office attraction of that era to become the undisputed champion.
Brock Lesnar has become the youngest champion in WWE history.
So as you can tell, the only major difference between the megastars was the company that they worked for. However, as luck would have it, during the early 2000s, WCW lost the Monday Night Wars, which led to wrestlers to move over to the WWE brand. And I've covered this topic in great detail in the video on the screen right now, so I'd appreciate if you hit the notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out. Essentially what happened was Vince bought out his rival companies, and while the fans' reception was initially mixed at the time, the idea of having dream matches between their favorite superstars was more alluring. For example, Hulk Hogan vs The Rock, The Undertaker vs Sting, and Goldberg vs Stone Cold were all on the cards potentially. But there was a catch. When WWE bought out their rivals, the WCW superstars had an option to either let their current Time Warner contracts run out, or to end their old contracts and take a less favorable one from Vince. And what ensued were the big stars like Hogan, Nash and Hall were happy to stay at home getting paid millions, and among them was Bill Goldberg. What this meant was we wouldn't see the WCW powerhouse for a while, but on the other hand, Lesnar was tearing things up in 02 and 03 as WWE transitioned from a successful Attitude Era and was moving forward with the Ruthless Aggression one. And along the way, they established a new crop of superstars like Edge, Rey Mysterio and Chris Benoit. So after defeating The Rock at SummerSlam to become the undisputed champion, Lesnar engaged in memorable rivalries, and one of these legendary matches included a Hell in a Cell against The Undertaker and a dramatic encounter with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19. These feuds not only solidified his reputation as a dominant force, but guaranteed his position as the top star within the company. What also happened at WrestleMania 19 is that we got our first tease that Bill Goldberg will be coming, as WWE played a promo for all fans to see. In it, they announced that the former WCW champion will be at the Backlash pay-per-view, and this proceeded with the People's Champion cutting a promo on Raw stating how the fans just didn't appreciate him anymore ever since he became a Hollywood superstar. And what ensued were the fans started booing The Rock while chanting Goldberg's name, and this set the stage for the long-awaited WWE debut.
You know, the fact of the matter is this: I left, I went to Hollywood, I came back. Then I came back and I get booed.
That was bad.
And listen to this. The Rock will tell you this. The Rock will tell you this right now. You want to know who's next, eh?
Oh
no! You're next!
What? Oh, that's not...
Goldberg then immediately set his sights on some of WWE's top talent. The Rock was the first one to fall victim to him at Backlash in 2003, and then other rivalries with Triple H and Chris Jericho, which led to memorable matches at pay-per-view events such as SummerSlam and Armageddon. However, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Bill Goldberg, but the game refused to put the WCW guy over and went on to win the match by hitting Goldberg with a sledgehammer, and it was strange to me at the time to see him lose, as the win did nothing for Hunter and it only hurt Goldberg's gimmick. But Triple H didn't respect the dude at the time, as he believed that the talent wasn't on par, as his matches only lasted 1 minute and he was even dangerous in the ring at times. And this is also where Goldberg's disdain for the company began, as he felt as though he was always going to be the black sheep within the company. Although his loss would quickly be corrected at the next pay-per-view, as Goldberg would finally win the big gold at the Unforgiven pay-per-view against Triple H. In identical fashion to Lesnar, within 6 months from his return, the WCW legend was given the top belt over on Raw, and with Lesnar being the current undisputed champion on SmackDown, everything was set in place by WWE to have these two titans from two different eras to go at it. And while both of them missed the invasion angle back in 2001, this was just Vince booking WCW versus WWE all over again. The only thing left was to start building a program to see how fans and audiences at home would react to it.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
So the first glimpse the fans got to see these two wrestlers sharing the same screen was in a backstage interview at Survivor Series in 2003. Goldberg in a cocky way introduced himself to Brock Lesnar after he lost his match against Team Angle.
How you doing, Brock? Goldberg, World Heavyweight Champion. Nice to meet you. Aren't you gonna wish me luck in my match tonight?
And it became imminent that the company was setting up a feud between the two. Now the question was, when? So fast forward to Royal Rumble 2004, Brock Lesnar successfully defended his WWE Championship against Hardcore Holly.
Who?
And later on in the night, Goldberg entered the Royal Rumble match at number 30 and began dominating. However, Brock Lesnar interfered and gave him an F5, which allowed Kurt Angle to eliminate him. After losing the Royal Rumble, Goldberg announced that he'll be coming after Brock Lesnar. This officially planted the seed for their match to be taking place at Wrestlemania 20. However, Brock at the time was entangled with 3 different storylines, one being with Eddie Guerrero, who became the #1 contender for his championship, the second one being with Stone Cold, and the third being with Bill Goldberg. And during the build to Lesnar's defense against Eddie at the No Way Out pay-per-view, he also began going after Stone Cold after Steve handed out a front row ticket to the event to Bill Goldberg.
Hey, I want to come here and talk to you about something. You know, SmackDown's got a pay-per-view coming up in San Francisco here in a couple of weeks. It's Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar. See, I happen to have a good buddy in San Francisco, and he sent me this ticket. And I can't go because I'm booked up. I got other things to do. I thought maybe I'd give you this ticket. Now, if you take this ticket, Bill, you're not just going to represent Raw. You're representing the good name of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Enjoy yourself, and don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bet your ass.
And this feud went one step above by Brock Lesnar stealing Stone Cold Steve Austin's four-wheeler, and Austin was pissed about it, and this will play a major role in the storyline later on. So at the No Way Out pay-per-view, Goldberg got even with Brock when he interfered with his match against Eddie Guerrero and gave him a devastating spear. And Eddie Guerrero will capitalize this by hitting a frog splash from the top rope and pinning Lesnar for the 3 to win the Undisputed Championship.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Brock was obviously pissed and blamed Goldberg for his loss, causing their fates to be intertwined at WrestleMania 20. But to spice things up, Austin was later announced as a special guest referee for their match. And this should have been a dream for most, but quickly turned into a nightmare for many as things got even more interesting. It was well known backstage that Goldberg would be wrestling his final match. It seemed as though he had enough of the backstage politics and the dismantlement of his character in WWE, as he just wasn't enjoying his time there anymore. And on top of that, just mere days before the event, word got out that Brock was set to leave the company as well, as he wanted to pursue other things. He had grown tired of the hectic schedule in WWE and consistently being on the road. Now with both men on their way out, the result didn't matter anymore. This resulted in the fans in attendance not being happy, and it's one of those rare instances where the crowd controlled the match. The crowd chanted everything from "you sold out" to "this match sucks" to "Goldberg sucks" for the whole world to see. And as for the match itself, it was relatively short, lasting only about 13 minutes, with both competitors exchanging powerful moves. And the bout culminated in a series of spears from Goldberg and F5s from Lesnar, and in the end, Goldberg secured the victory. And whilst the match wasn't a technical masterpiece, the peculiar circumstances and the crowd reaction made it one of the most talked about moments in WrestleMania history. And what probably saved it was when Austin concluded everything by giving both men stunners to make the fans happy, but it couldn't help but leave a sour taste in the fans' mouth. And as years went by, we found out more upon why these two big stars left the company. For Goldberg, it was simple. Whilst his initial response to his arrival in WWE was positive from the fans, the same can't be said for him backstage. In an interview with Stone Cold on the Broken Skulls podcast, he mentioned that many wrestlers backstage saw him as the enemy sent by WCW, and that he just wasn't one of the boys.
Obviously, you probably didn't get the reaction you expected to get from that match.
Well, no question. I mean, but the reality is that things were a little difficult back then in a lot of ways. It was a compound, complex sentence of professional wrestling at that point. I mean, you had him leaving, you had me leaving, you had, the animosity that was publicly known that I had for the business, and it wasn't a good time, and the fans turned on us, and as well they should have, because why are they going to cheer for two guys who are out the door the next day?
With Goldberg feeling betrayed, it seemed as though we would never see him in the ring again, as his love for the sport all but seemed dead. As for Lesnar upon why he left, I'll let Paul Heyman fill you in on that.
It only took Brock Lesnar 2 short years to eat through the entire WWE roster. And with no more opponents to conquer, Brock Lesnar sought out a whole new crop of challengers to reap. And again, Brock Lesnar slaughtered all the competition that was put in front of him. Brock Lesnar grew bored with the fact no one could give him the challenge he needed. And then the beast noticed the fields of WWE had regrown.
Lesnar went on to the NFL and UFC for the next 8 years and will achieve amazing results while away. We wouldn't see him until 2012, and upon his return, WWE was looking to re-establish him as a top star. So up to 2016, Brock Lesnar's career was a dominant and imposing presence as a new audience finally got to see the Beast unleashed. And key opponents during this period included John Cena, whom Lesnar defeated at SummerSlam 2014 to capture the championship. In addition to that, Lesnar's relentless pursuit for dominance continued with a high-profile match against The Undertaker, including ending the infamous streak at WrestleMania 30. His undeniable dominance was further solidified by brutal encounters with Triple H and Randy Orton. Lesnar truly earned the Beast Incarnate name as he became a symbol of strength and unpredictability in the WWE landscape. And by the time we got to 2016, he was on a tear, demolishing most of the roster of superstars in just a few short minutes. And it seemed as though no one could go toe-to-toe with him, which made the fans at the time grow annoyed, as all of his matches were the same: suplex after suplex, F5, pin. So while WWE managed to make Brock the final boss after taking the Undertaker's streak, they failed in creating a babyface who could match up to him. However, as fate would have it, things were about to take a turn for the better, as WWE surprisingly announced Goldberg will be part of the video game WWE 2K17. And this was huge news, as Goldberg hadn't been involved with WWE for almost 12 years. So rumors started flooding the forums and the internet, all suggesting the same thing: is Goldberg returning to the ring? Otherwise, why would the company announce his addition in the new video game? What fueled speculation even more was when Brock and Goldberg began taking shots at each other at different 2K events, saying that if there was any opponent they would like to face, it would be each other.
I would say I'm going to have to choose Brock, because I think Brock's the only one that would have the chance to beat me. Taker would, but he's getting up there like me in age. So I think Brock's probably got the best shot.
But unlike their last encounter, this got the fans really excited. So excited that the fans started chanting Goldberg after Brock Lesnar annihilated Randy Orton in the main event of SummerSlam in 2016. And at the time, Goldberg wasn't signed to a deal, but when Paul Heyman challenged Goldberg to a match on Brock's behalf on Raw, we knew that the second match was coming up sooner rather than later.
Goldberg is still 1 up on Brock Lesnar.
Hammer! And Goldberg beats Lesnar!
You, sir, are hereby challenged.
So it finally happened. In a rare moment, WWE gave the fans what they wanted, and Goldberg made his return to the company on October 17th episode of Raw and accepted Paul Heyman's challenge. It was surreal for myself to see as Goldberg walked through the backstage with WWE superstars like Sami Zayn, The New Day, and R-Truth all ecstatic to see him. And in an address to Paul Heyman and the fans, he humbly accepted the challenge. So once again, Brock vs Goldberg occurred at Survivor Series. Fans expected a better match than the first one. However, what we got was no less than something special. This whole match played more into the theatrical side of WWE, with the elements that everyone loves to see. The entrances for both men were amazing. Michael Cole on commentary was on fire, and Paul Heyman on the ringside pleading for his client as the match went on was just pure gold. All these aspects played their part in making this event special. As for the match itself, Goldberg immediately hit 2 spears and a jackhammer to squash Brock Lesnar in under 2 minutes.
No fear from Goldberg. A spear! Goldberg again with a spear! 2 spears to Lesnar! Brock's in trouble! A jackhammer to Lesnar! Here's the cover! Oh my God!
This right here is my favorite thing.
The crowd lost their minds. Brock getting squashed? That was unheard of. WWE took the route that left people shocked. They did something unique and it worked out, but that made fans want to see more, considering Goldberg was now 2-0 over Brock Lesnar. So on the Raw after Survivor Series, Goldberg came out to the ring and let the world know that he wasn't done with wrestling just yet, and that he will be at the Rumble, and in addition to that, he let the fans know that there might still be a title run left in him.
You did have one more spear. You had one more jackhammer, and by damn, you had one hell of an ass kicking left in you. But then she looked me right in the eyes and she said, "Do you have one more title run left in you?" Oh, let's go! That's class!
As for Lesnar, the humiliation was driving him insane, and he wanted to get even with Goldberg, as he announced that he would also be in the 2017 Royal Rumble match, the most packed Rumble I've seen to date. With the 2 Titans being the focal point, we also got to see The Undertaker, Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose all compete, as WWE was juggling multiple storylines, all of which were being connected in the Rumble. However, during the match, the humiliation continued for Brock Lesnar, as Goldberg entered the match and eliminated him in just a few seconds, leaving him flat on his ass for the whole world to see.
Lesnar and Goldberg here at the Rumble. Here they go. And Goldberg spear! Spear! And Lesnar's eliminated! Lesnar's eliminated! What just happened?
Brock finally felt weak in comparison to his opponent. Nobody has ever dominated him in a feud, so wanting to end things once and for all, Brock straight up challenged Goldberg for one final match at WrestleMania 33. However, this time there was a cherry on top, the Universal Championship. At the time, Kevin Owens had it and he was paired up with Chris Jericho. Goldberg came out and challenged Kevin for the title at the Fastlane pay-per-view, and Chris accepted on Kevin's behalf.
Pause.
This didn't sit well with Kevin, who turned on Chris in an epic Festival of Friendship segment before Fastlane. So at the pay-per-view, Chris intentionally distracted Kevin, which allowed Goldberg to take advantage, hit a spear, and beat Kevin to become the new Universal Champion.
Oh my God! Always former best friend. The bell is rung. The bell rung.
So here we are, 12 years after their first WrestleMania match. The feeling among fans leading up to Goldberg vs Lesnar's WrestleMania match was a mix of anticipation and curiosity. And given the history between Goldberg and Lesnar, including their previous encounters at WrestleMania 20 and Survivor Series 2016, there was a heightened interest in how the storyline would conclude on the grandest stage of them all.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the challenger. Weighing in tonight at 295 pounds,
fighting out of Suplex City, the superhero conquering beast of Wrestlemania, Brock Lesnar!
The match went just under 5 minutes, and believe me when I say it's amongst the best 5-minute matches I've seen in a while. Knowing that they couldn't have a 20-minute match, the two resorted to having a fast-paced finisher after finisher match that brought the entire crowd to their feet. The match started with a German suplex, which was quickly followed by a spear, which was a great spot to see from Goldberg. Then we see both men go through the barricade, which was followed up by a fourth spear from Goldberg and a jackhammer, and somehow Lesnar managed to kick out. Then we got the moment of the night when we see Brock Lesnar doing a leapfrog to evade Goldberg's fifth spear, was just insane. We then see the Beast delivering 10 German suplexes and an F5 to Bill. From there, the match was finished, with Lesnar pinning arguably his greatest adversary. The score was settled 2-1. The impact of this feud cannot be underestimated, and while often compared together career-wise, Goldberg losing was a fitting conclusion to their trilogy. What ensued for Lesnar after winning at WrestleMania 33 was a dominant reign as champion, where he held the title for 504 days. As for Goldberg, he got to have a final dance in WWE in front of a new audience, his family, and more importantly his son, who was his main motivation for coming back into the ring.
See Goldberg bringing his son Gage into the ring to celebrate.
You can just see Gage couldn't be prouder. This is his dad. Bill couldn't be prouder. This is his son, and he's back.
That's my boy.
To sum up this rivalry, it just wasn't about championships and legacy. It was a story that spanned eras and captured the essence of professional wrestling. What's even more profound was the personal journey of Bill Goldberg, returning to the ring not for the championships or the accolades, but for his son and a genuine love for the sport. Goldberg's comeback was a testament to the enduring power of wrestling. It was a journey that reignited his passion, it resonated with fans worldwide, and added a unique chapter in his storied career.
And I realize more so than ever before, this is where I belong. This has been one hell of a journey, which leads me to my one final question. Who's next?
If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and check out these other videos we made of epic rivalries within WWE.